So for our first speaker of the session is Egwuenu. She is a front-end developer that is passionate about making the web accessible to everyone, advocating for building open and inclusive developer communities. She loves content creation and sharing her knowledge. She does that through content creation on her blog and YouTube channel. Without further ado, I would like to bring you Gifts.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Alex. Hey,
I
everyone.
am fine. Are you ready?
Yep, I am.
All right. The
I have
stage
share my
is all
screen. Yep.
okay.
Right here.
Okay, let me add it. The stage is all yours.
All right. Thank you. Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm very excited to be giving this talk on personal branding for software engineers. And I'd like to say a big thank you to the Prisma team for inviting me to give this talk. Now we are going to go over a couple of things. The first thing is to actually talk about personal branding. So what it is, why should you even consider building a brand for yourself as a developer or engineer, and some benefits you get from, going through this process. But before I get started with that, I would like to introduce myself. So my name is Gift. I currently work as a front-end consultant at Passionate People. On the side, I enjoy creating content for developers. So I do that through my blog and YouTube channel. I also am very passionate about communities like Alex mentioned. So I am currently organizing some of the JavaScript conferences, meetups in the Netherlands where I'm currently residing. All right. So to kick this talk off, I would like to start with this definition of personal branding that I relate to so much. So personal branding here is the process of developing a mark that is created around your name or career. And then you use this mark to express and communicate your skills, personality, and values to your audience or to the community in general. Also, I don't know if everybody here has already given this a thought, but just give this a thought for a moment, right? Um, your personal brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. This quote is from Chris Tucker, which I really like. Have you ever given a thought to think about when I'm not around, or what do people relate me to, or what do people think about me when I'm not in the room? It's actually important, and I feel like you should give yourself that thought and answer that for yourself and see see what you get back. Yeah. Well, yeah, I just wanted to share that quote because I really like it. And now that we know what a personal brand is about building value, creating value for your audience, and just making sure that that value is also connected to your name and the skills you have to provide. So why should you even consider building a personal brand? I mean, you can just be a developer and do your job, your 9 to 5, and that's definitely okay. But I am going to be sharing some reasons why I feel like it's important to consider building a personal brand for yourself if you already don't have one, because of some reasons which I would share. And I would like to share three of those reasons. The first one is the reason why I feel you should consider building a personal brand is because of career advancement. You get, as a result, career advancement of building your brand. I would explain this in more detail. So consider that right now, the tech industry is no longer saturated. I mean, when I started 3, 4 years ago, there were a lot of tech jobs available. Like there were a few developers to more opportunities. I don't know if that's still the case right now, but I know that there are a lot more developers coming into tech. So the amount of jobs that are available are limited. Even if there are more jobs, for you to qualify for those jobs, you have to go through a long process. Now, how does building a personal brand help you stand out in a pool of engineers or software developers? I'm going to talk about that a bit more later in the course of this talk. But I just wanted to share that one reason why you should consider building a personal brand for yourself is because as a developer, you tend to, move up the career ladder. I won't say faster, but it helps you in that journey. If you're looking at, progressing in your current role, like going from levels to levels, it also helps because what you're doing in essence is by building a brand is that you're showing your work publicly, you're sharing your work publicly, like you're making sure that people know and know the value that you provide to your team as well as to the community. So that's one reason, right? There's another reason I would like to share. It helps you build a reputation. I've seen a couple of people that I know and I follow in the tech industry that I follow them because of their, not because of their brand, but because of the value that they're sharing, because of the value that they provide or they bring to the community and to the tech industry. And the reason why I feel like they already have this reputation is because they've been consistently sharing and building a brand for themselves. So you can now identify them with an identity that they've created for themselves. So another reason why I feel you should also consider building a personal brand is because you get to build a reputation around your name. When people think about a certain technology, the first thing they remember is, oh, I know this person does this, things like that are actually very important for you to consider. And that's another reason why you should consider creating a brand for yourself. And finally, the last reason, there are more reasons, but I feel these three really speaks volume to why personal branding is important. Finally, it also helps you increase visibility online. So if you're a developer or you're a freelancer, I mean, it applies to different roles that you might have if you're in the tech ecosystem, I would say. Personal branding is not just for developers, but I'm sharing it specifically for developers in this talk. Another way that you can think about, or a reason why you should build a brand for yourself, is because you want to be more visible. More visible could mean so many different things. It could mean that when you apply to a job and a recruiter searches for your name on Google, things that you've done in the past comes up. Or it could be that people start to relate to you because of the work you've done or because of a project that you made. Visibility online could definitely improve, your career in general in tech. And I feel like a personal brand, developing one for yourself, would help you achieve that. So those are three reasons why I feel it's important to build a brand. All of these reasons are valid. I've personally done a couple of them, and that's why I'm sharing them with you. I'd also like to point out that, I mean, building a brand is important, right? But it doesn't just happen in a day or in a week or in a month. It's a consistent journey that you have to embark on. So you have to decide that this is something I really want to do and start working towards it. It's not something you do at once. It's something you have to do consistently to see results. Let's now cover how to go about building a brand. So how do you build a personal brand? I would like to share a couple of different reasons or different ways, methods that you can go about building a brand. And these are 4 ways that I know that are actionable for you to start off with. I will also share more ways, but I feel like these ones are the ones that you could quickly just pick up and say, oh, I'm going to do this now, or I'm going to do this next week. Uh, these are 4 ways you can start building a personal brand for yourself. The first one is by creating a platform. What do I mean by this? I mean, you should create a space on the internet that is yours. I feel like this is one of the most important things, or the first things you should think about doing. A platform could be a personal portfolio. It could also be a personal blog, or just your website that has your name, first name and last name. That when I go to Google and I search your first name and last name, your website or portfolio comes up in the search result. Or a platform could also be, you're active on LinkedIn and you use LinkedIn for sharing the values that you provide, or your skills. A platform could also be a secondary platform like Practical Dev, dev.to or Hashnode. I mean, a platform could be anything. Could also be a Twitter portfolio that you have or you maintain, that you're actively sharing what you're doing on. But the most important thing here is that you have a platform. You have one platform where you're sharing the work that you've done and the skills that you have. Another important thing I'd like to share that I feel is another way of creating a brand is by sharing your knowledge. Sharing your knowledge could be in several different ways. Right now, what I'm doing, I'm already sharing my knowledge with by giving this talk. Sharing your knowledge could be that you learned something new, or you learned how to fix a bug that a lot of people have, and you share it on, you answer a question on like Stack Overflow, or you share it with your colleagues at work. It could be in several different formats, but the most important thing is that you are always sharing, what you've learned, or the things that you feel the community, or your group, or should I say your it could even be as small as your teammates are trying to learn. So if you know something that other people don't know, or if you're more knowledgeable in a topic, then it's very important for you to start sharing that knowledge. Another thing I would like to share is that you should always be yourself. I've seen a lot of people try to be, or try to emulate other people, that it's okay for you to have like a role model, or for you to look up to somebody and want to be like that person. But trying to be the person exactly, I don't know how to explain this, but I've seen a lot of people try to be what they're not. When you want people to relate to you based on your brand, you want them to know you for yourself, and you want to communicate trust in essence. So I would also put this as an important thing, that you should always have it at the back of your mind, that when you're building a brand, you want to always, be true to yourself. Make sure that whatever whatever you're portraying is how you are perceived in real life, and you're not trying to be someone else, basically. Finally, you should create a bio or a personal. So, one thing that I know is important, you want people to, know in like a sentence or a short format what you are, the value that you provide. That's a bio, basically. A bio tells people your role, where you're currently working, what you do, the things that you're interested in, and the value that you provide. So I think these four things are four fast ways you can start building a brand for yourself. But there's more, and I would like to share them with you. So there is this other thing I call the 12-month strategy. And the reason why I call it the 12-month strategy is because I think this could be done in 12 months. It's basically 12 things you can do in 12 months. And credit to Jason Alba. In 2018, I took a course on Pluralsight on how to build a brand, and I learned a lot from that course. So I'm sharing a lot of things that I learned. And part of what I learned is the 12-month strategy, and I'd like to share that with you. So this is 12 things you can do in a span of 12 months. But regardless, if you feel like you can do this in, 1 month, 3 months, definitely do that. But in order not to get overwhelmed with all of this, you also have a 9 to 5 job. You're still focusing on trying to build a brand for yourself. Sometimes there might be no time for you to do that. Sometimes you might have more time on your end. So make sure that you see this not as a fixed 12-month strategy, but basically you could replace 12 with anything. It could be weeks, months, years, I don't know. But anyone that works for you, definitely do that. So I'll just breeze through some of them. The first thing I think that you should think about when building a brand is that you should define a niche. So niche here is, what area of tech are you interested in? One person cannot be knowledgeable in every single part of tech that we have. It's not possible. You can't be interested in front end, AI, back end, DevOps, one person. It's not possible. You want people to be able to relate to you based on a specific niche. So, for instance, for myself, I'm a front end developer. I like doing front end, and it could be something else for you. So, first of all, make sure in your head you could actually do this in a day, or it could take you some weeks to think about. Just think about something that you're very passionate about, or an area in tech that you're very interested in, and you like, your brand to be around that area. Creating a tagline means that you should think about, it's kind of similar to a bio, but say shorter. So when your name comes to people's mind, what's the first thing that comes to their head? For instance, it could be that you're a front-end developer, you're a UI, UX designer, something like that, and also the value that you provide. 30-second speech. Now that a lot of us are, remote, we don't actually go to conferences or meetups in person as much. Usually when we used to do that, there's something called 30-second speech that is important for you to have handy when you're trying to network with people. So these are things that I feel you can start building up. and it doesn't necessarily have to be done in a single stretch, like in a single you can spread it out as much as you want. I'll just go over some of them. So, creating a testimonial. So, this is important if you're a freelancer. So, if you're always looking for clients, you want to be able to ask your previous client to share like how they feel about or the relationship that they had or the experience they got from working with you. It's also important to have a portfolio. Professional headshots is also nice to have. It's not always use like a normal picture of yourself, but make sure you're using a picture of yourself so people can relate your name, your brand to your actual face. So that's these are some of the things that I feel you should keep in. Um, these are some of the things I feel you should keep in account when you're trying to build a brand. I'll share my slides later so you can go over some of them. Moving forward, I would also like to share another way that this is another strategy. It's called learning in public. I feel like this is an ultimate plan if you're also looking to build a brand for yourself. What is learning in public? It's self-explanatory. It means that you're learning publicly or you're committing to learning or sharing knowledge publicly. I think learning in public is the fastest way to learn, grow your career, and build a network in tech. And I've seen personally, this is a strategy that I've tried. I am currently still trying. And I've seen a lot of other developers do this and it works. So, yeah, what's learning in public? What do you do? How do you learn in public? Basically, like I said, learning in public is the act of committing to sharing your knowledge publicly. I've seen a lot of people or developers learn in private and they lurk, like they're learning they're learning a specific tech and they eventually get very good at it and they keep it to themselves, you know, or they just watch tutorials and they keep it to themselves. They mainly use it in their day-to-day work, right? But they are not sharing the knowledge. They're just taking everything in and not giving it back, if you get what I mean. I think that's fine. Like, I'm not against doing that. But I also think that if you're thinking about building a brand, something you could try is this thing called learning in public. And there are several different ways you can do it. Like, it's not just one single method. Yeah, you could try different things. And I'd like to share some of those with you. So, how do you learn in public? You could learn in public by writing blogs, tutorials, or creating cheat sheets. So, if you learn a specific if you find that you want to be more knowledgeable in a specific area, for instance, you want to learn GraphQL, right? You commit to learning GraphQL. But some people would say, oh, I want to learn GraphQL, and they just learn it and then they use it in their job. But another way you could go around that route is learning GraphQL, writing a blog post about what you learned, and either making a video as well, depending on what you're comfortable with. A lot of these are several different ways that you could learn in public. You could speak at meetups or conferences like I'm doing right now. You can ask or answer questions on Stack Overflow, Reddit. Always avoid walled garden like Slack, Discord. I mean, it's okay to also post solutions or things that you've learned or just discussions on Slack or on Discord. It could be that in your company Slack, you all found like a very hard problem to solve and you solved it in your team and you just discuss it on Slack and that's the end. I would like to say that you could even go further by sharing that on like Reddit or Stack Overflow or Twitter, because a lot of other people would also learn from that, thing or knowledge that you are sharing. Making videos on YouTube, Twitch streaming, these are different ways that you could learn in public. Creating a newsletter, giving workshops. A lot of these ways are ways that or strategies that you could learn in public. And by essence, you're also building a brand. I'll give you an example later in this talk on how I did this entire process or how I follow this entire process and the benefits that you get from doing all of this. Okay. What are the benefits? I mentioned already what a personal brand is, why you should consider building one, strategies you can go through to build one. So why should you even consider doing all of these things that I've already mentioned? I think these three benefits are some of the things you get out of building a brand. The first is that you gain job opportunities. I am very, very sure that a lot of people that have gone through this process, myself included, have seen the results of what building a brand for yourself will result in. Basically, I think by showing your work public, sharing your work publicly, putting yourself out there more, building a brand for yourself, you might end up just doing it for yourself, or you might think people are not seeing the work that you're putting out. But a result of doing all of this could be that companies will start reaching out to you because they see the value that you provide, and you don't have to go through the process of applying to those jobs and getting rejected before they even read your resumes. Or you could start getting not just job opportunities, but literally any opportunities, right? It could be that you get an opportunity because you shared a blog post on a specific topic that helped, a group of engineers. They might ask you to come and give like a webinar or speak at, their company about a specific topic. This is like a true life story. It could be that somebody watched your video and it helped them, solve a problem, and they asked you to, come work at your company. Like there are several different ways that building or learning in public, building a brand for yourself can benefit you as a person. I think another biggest takeaway for me, or generally for people that have gone through this process, is that they build their network in the process. So there are other developers that are also doing this. Like people could say it publicly that, yeah, I am building a brand, but a lot of people just do it because they enjoy doing it, like myself. And in process, you get to build a network of fellow developers, or developers in your niche that are also interested in the things that you're interested in. So I know that a lot of developers or people that I follow or people that I'm connected to on LinkedIn are also in my field, that they are interested in technologies that I'm interested in. They are also sharing their knowledge. And this is how you just build a network for yourself, right? If you're interested in building a network, I've just shared with you one way you can actually go through the route of building like a network. And yeah, it's actually very nice. Finally, you also get to influence. You get influence in the process of doing this. How do I mean? I mean that you might not know this, but by the process, by just following the routes that I've shared over this talk, you're already influencing people. So it could be that you're sharing, oh, these are the 5 top tools you should be using. This is a true life story. I shared one time on a video 5 developer productivity tools, and I saw a lot of people adopted it. That's me already influencing some developers to follow some things that I've been using. There are several different examples that I can give you, but when you have like a brand identity that communicates value to your audience or to the community at large, you begin to, be more influential in your area. Yeah, I think those are 3 benefits that I can share, but I know that there is more. And yeah, that's something you should definitely consider doing, building a brand for yourself. I would like to share some tips that I've learned, or some tips that I have gathered in the process of doing this. The first one is that you have to stay consistent to see results. Like I mentioned earlier, it's not something you do in like a week and that's it. It's something you have to consistently doing. So if you commit to speaking, or you commit to writing blogs, you have to consistently do it to see results. Make sure that the content that you're creating has value. Like make sure that you're communicating value through the content that you share. It's also very helpful to join communities. I get a lot of should I say I get a lot of, if you're Nigerian, you know this word ginger, or I get a lot of yeah, let me just use ginger, from people that I am part of their community. So if I'm currently in a community where there are mostly content creators there. So I get, motivated when I see other people doing stuff, and then I learn from those people. I also see what they're doing and see how I can improve the work that I'm doing. So it's also important to join communities, follow successful people, follow people that they are already successful in these areas that you want to be in or you are already in. Make sure that you're constantly sharing your work. Make sure that every single thing you do, you share it publicly. Don't hide it, because somebody might learn from it, or somebody might find it helpful. And always be learning. That's the essence of the learning in public in the first place. Always be learning and iterate on your process. I always do this every single time. If I find that things are not going the way I want them to go, I always unlearn, learn, iterate, and move from there. So, how do you track success? I gave this talk last week at the GS World USA conference, and I got a question after the talk. Someone asked me, how do you know you're actually on the right path of building your brand? So, how do you know that you're successful? And I answered that question, but I also decided I add that specific question to the slide so it's helpful for other people. How do you know that you're already successful in this journey of building a brand? I think the first way that you can know that you're successful is by studying and tracking your metrics. So in case you are if you in case you decide to start blogging more, or start speaking or start making videos, make sure that you're tracking analytics to see if the content or the things that you're creating is actually valuable to the people that you're creating it for. Study your audience, know what they want, or know the problems that that they are having, and try to create content that would help solve those problems. Another thing, or another way I know that I'm successful, or you're successful, is when the work that you're creating is valuable to your audience. People would always tell you that the content you created helped them, or the video you made helped them. When you get comments like this, you know that you're already creating value for your community. You start seeing people amplifying your work. So not just you sharing your work, people start sharing your work, or people start speaking up for you. And that's how you know that you're already, on the successful, ride to building a brand. And finally, always try to keep track and celebrate all the small wins. It could be that you had 200 views on a blog post, your first 100 views on a blog post. Always try to celebrate and track all those wins, because I feel those are how you track success in building a brand. And I'd like to share my story on how I started. I started learning how to code in 2017, and I discovered that there were things called communities, and I started looking into them. So I became active online on Twitter mostly in 2017. Then I started my personal blog in 2018. I gave my first I gave my first talk in 2018. I'm moving too too fast. I gave my first talk in 2018. I started YouTube in 2019, and as a result of all the work that I've been doing, I became an Auth0 ambassador, a Microsoft MVP, Cloudinary MDE, Noxt ambassador, and recently a GitHub star. And these are as a result of this. Is another way you can actually track success, when you see that programs or communities are coming to you, or you're getting not rewarded, but you're getting recognized for the work or the value that you bring to your community. And right now I am still growing and I'm still improving. So I would also like to share with you some people in the community that I feel that they have great personal brands, and these are people that I follow and I've also learned a lot from. There are more, but these are the ones that I like to share with you. If you know them, or if you've not following them, or yeah, you should definitely check them out. For instance, here, the first person here is Angie Jones. When I think about Angie Jones, the first thing that comes to my mind is testing. When I think about Stephanie Murillo, the first thing that comes to my mind is that she creates content for developers that are looking to get into technical writing. Scott Hanselman, he creates .NET related content. When how you know somebody has a brand is when you think about your name and you can quickly think about what they do, right? So are you actually doing that, or are you in that position right now? So that's something you should definitely think about. So think about what are these people doing currently, that, or what are they doing differently, right, that I can emulate, or how can I learn from their process. And to wrap up, I would like to also share some of the things that I shared earlier on ways that you can actually start building your brand or start learning in public. Bonus content I have. So today I this was not part of my slides until like an hour ago, so I decided to add it. Today I learned about this platform called Polywork, and it's basically LinkedIn but way nicer. And it's a platform for people that are looking to share their work, or just basically share what you're doing. And I really like it. So I joined today, and I felt it would be nice to, share what this platform is, because this is also related to personal branding. So the platform allows you, it's more like LinkedIn, but it's more cooler. So you can, share the interest that you have, your bio, your previous positions. Like you can share that you made a video, you know, you spoke at a conference, you created a tutorial, and so on and so forth. It's still in beta, but I got VIP invites I would like to share with everybody watching. So if you like to sign up, you can use this code gifts VIP to sign up for the platform. I think it's actually very cool, and I like the work that they're doing. So share your work on Polywork. I did not come up with that on purpose, but yeah. Yeah, thank you so much for listening to me talk about personal branding. I hope you learned something or took something away from this talk. I have this very nice confetti to celebrate the end of my talk. So thank you so much. You can find me on, oh, sorry. You can find me on these platforms, Twitter at Laura Gift and also Instagram. Thank you so much.
Really, really cool talk. I enjoyed it.
Thanks.
I think the first time we once probably interacted was during Concatenate back in 2019 when conferences were still a thing. And I really enjoyed the talks and the workshops that you organized. It will, I hope you do it again. Yes.
Yeah,
I'd like to be a
hopefully.
part of it. Yes.
Thanks. Thank you.
Anyway, let's see if we have questions from the chat. Yeah, it was a really great talk. We enjoyed it. Seems we don't have any questions in the chat.
Okay.
So again, thank you very much for being a part of this. We'll see till next time.
Thank you. Thank you all. Bye.